Good afternoon. My name is Destry Bascos. I am an account executive at Sandag's iCommute Employer Program. I want to welcome you to today's webinar about facility improvements. First, I'd like to provide you a few housekeeping notes as we get started. You'll see a box on the right-hand side of your screen for questions. Please feel free to type your questions throughout the presentation, and we'll save some time to address them at the end. Also, we are recording the webinar in case you'd like to watch it again or share it with your organization. We'll email out a copy to all participants later today. Today's agenda is super simple. It's a brief overview of Sandag's iCommute Employer Program, and we are super excited to have today two employers to talk about their facilities improvements. First, we'll hear from Fred Sarsilla, Facilities Manager of Sempra Energy, and then have a presentation by Brett Caldwell, Senior Airport Planner at San Diego County Regional Airport Authority. So let's get started with the first agenda item. Sandag is currently working on the 2021 regional plan that will embody the 5 big moves. These are transformative strategies that will reimagine how our region will grow and how people and goods will get around. New investments in the regional transportation network will enhance connectivity, increase safety and sustainability, and improve the quality of life. In addition to this work, Sandag is actively working with employers throughout the region through the Transportation Demand Management Program called iCommute. We're excited because this year we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary. Through our programs and services, we promote and encourage sustainable commute choices across the region, mainly through employers and key points of contact we call ETCs, also known as Employee Transportation Coordinators. The overarching goals are to reduce drive-alone trips, reduce traffic congestion, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Through the iCommute Employer Service Program, employers receive free assistance setting up or improving their employee commuter program. Our hallmark is surveying employees to find out how they get to work and which modes they'd be interested in trying. We map out the results, as you can see on the right side, and offer a trip reduction plan. Marketing materials and some special incentives are also something we offer employers that work with us. There is also an opportunity to be recognized for the commuter program excellence through our Diamond Awards program. The Diamond Awards program recognizes employers with exemplary commuter benefits. It's a point-based system with 3 ways to earn points. The first way is through commuter program attributes. These are the policies and infrastructures they have that encourage alternative commuting. The second component is the annual commuter activities. These points may be earned by holding events and activities throughout the year to encourage the use of alternative transportation choices. And the third way is through employee commute changes. We use a commuter survey distributed every 1 to 2 years to see if there's been a shift in employee transportation choices. This is a photo of the award recipients from this year's event. This year, we had a record-breaking number of 131 employers. They were recognized at this year's Diamond Awards reception in late September for all their hard work through June 30, 2019. For attending this webinar today, you will earn a Diamond Award point for your company. You are now 1 point closer to getting an award. Contact iCommute for more information and how you too can be recognized for your commuter program. Employers of all sizes are encouraged to join in. Now I'd like to switch gears and talk about today's topic on facilities improvements. As I previously mentioned, commuter program attributes is a section where an employer can earn points for the policies and infrastructure they have that encourage alternative commuting. Additionally, facility improvements are tax deductible per Section 8 of the California Revenue and Taxation Code Section 24343.5. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize the number. We'll provide you that link for reference with our webinar follow-up email. Please contact your company's tax advisor for more information. So today we will hear from our two employers about some changes that they have made to their facilities to encourage and support different commutes to and from their work site. First up is Fred Sarsilla, Facilities Manager from Sempra Energy. Welcome, Fred.
Thanks, Destry. Thanks for having me, and good afternoon, everybody. Today, I'd like to share some of the enhancements and improvements that we've done at Sempra Energy. Little background on Sempra. Sempra is located in downtown San Diego, right across from Petco Park. We have been in downtown for many, many years, and in 2015, we located to our new location in the East Village. It's a LEED Gold building. We've got about 800 employees, and I'm very proud to say that in 2019, we earned the San Diego iCommute Diamond Award, Platinum Award this year. So that's really a great accomplishment for us. So let's begin and talk about some of the amenities that we have. When we built the building back in 2015, it was prudent for us to put in some items that will enhance commuting. And one is bicycle accommodation and amenities. We have space for about, I would say about 30 bikes. And when you park in the garage, it's free access. We have bike racks, air maintenance stations, a maintenance rack, as you can see there. And we also have locker rooms, lockers, and a shower facility down on our B1 level. We also have towel service free to our employees, and these towels are ones to find that are like in a 5-star hotel. They're very soft and cushy, so I think our employees really appreciate that. We do have carpool spaces and vanpool spaces on our B2 level. We have about 6 carpool spaces and 2 vanpool spaces. We are constantly reviewing and assessing the need for that as we tout alternative means. We've increased, in fact, a couple more spaces in there. And in fact, we are increasing our headcount to about 100 people. So we are looking forward to see if they will use those additional carpool spaces. EV charging, as you know, the focus is having more people purchase e-vehicles. And what we've done at Sempra is put in EV charging. A little bit of my background, as you know, Sempra is the parent company of SDG and SoCalGas. So it's what I've done in my past. I was the facilities manager at Sempra. I'm sorry, at SDG&E and its Kearney Mesa site. And during my tenure there, we put in about 100 EV charging stations there. So when I was assigned to Sempra, my goal was to add more. So as you can see on the slide, we've got about 54 spaces that we can accommodate EV charging. I've just added a few more charging spaces this year, and we have them on different levels. One of the things that we have done to enhance that is to have a charging and waiting. So all of our charging stations are active charging. So when you are parked in one of those spaces, we want you to make sure that you're actively charging. And then when you're done, we expect you to move your car for the next EV driver to move his vehicle her vehicle in that space. And we call that EV etiquette and playing nice and making sure that everybody has access to charging. One of the things that we do, and it's only company employees can only charge. They have a charging account. There is no public charging. And again, we continue to evaluate the needs and growth for our employees. I wanted to share an example. As I mentioned, we increased our EV charging in one of our garages. So I want to use this as a model. So folks, if you're looking at adding charging stations, here's a kind of a model. I added 7 EV chargers, level 2 chargers. Level 2 chargers are charging stations that get about 15 to 18 miles per hour, so a little quicker. The Hydra cabinet is established it's an access control cabinet that meters usage. The EV keypad is there so you can manually put in the charging station you're at and your PIN number, and then you can begin charging. There's also an app that our SDG Clean Transportation department has established, so you can do that online on your phone. And then part of the cost of doing this is the infrastructure, including conduit. And that depends upon what type of situation you have. You might have a garage, or you might have an outside parking lot where you'll have to trench. So that all depends upon your situation. Of course, the labor cost. So the total cost for this recent installation was $41,000. It's relatively inexpensive, and that yielded me another, I think, 18 parking spaces. Some additional things that we have at Sempra for our employees: we have a full-service cafeteria cafe, which is open from 6:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. A coffee kiosk for our employees. We also have fleet cars. So a lot of our employees do a lot of business and going to our SDG Century Park location in Kearney Mesa. I'll use myself for an example. I am a bus rider. I ride the Rapid 290 from the Rancho Bernardo, Sabre Springs, Carmel Mountain Ranch area. So that's my primary mode of transportation. So when I have a need to go to Century Park to our SDG side, I just take one of these fleet vehicles, which is a Toyota Prius, check it out, and drive up to the Kearney Mesa site. So I don't have to drive my car. I can use one of the fleet vehicles, and that's been a great sense of comfort when I have to go do a quick meeting. And then finally, we have a fitness center for our employees, which we have a fitness center, a yoga room, a Pilates room, a stretching room, and a full-service wellness program that is sponsored by SDG&E. So those are some of the nice things and enhancements that we do at Sempra. I will take questions after this meeting, and I'll turn the balance of my time to Brett.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brett Caldwell. I'm with the San Diego County Regional Airport Authority. The Airport Authority owns and operates San Diego International Airport. And a few things about San Diego International Airport. We're a top 30 airport in the United States. We contribute about $12 billion annually to the regional economy. And right now we're in the process of preparing an airport development plan. And the main focus of that airport development plan is replacement of Terminal 1. And as we have gone through the process of growing and developing, we have had continuous stakeholder coordination with several of the various local transportation and planning agencies, as well as municipalities. And these are the ones that we have held those meetings with. There's been a total of over 100 meetings held, most recently related to our airport development plan. This is a map, graphic of the airport transit connectivity that exists with all the various different modes that are located within the San Diego region. You see the lines for the MTS bus, as well as the MTS trolley. There's a line that represents our trolley to terminal shuttle service, which is a 24-hour service that we'll discuss a little bit later in the presentation in a little more detail. And of course, we have connectivity to the North County Transit District coaster, as well as the Amtrak. And in the first quarter of 2020, the Airport Authority will be operating an Old Town Transit Center shuttle vehicle that will be there for use by both employees and passengers. And that is scheduled to begin operations in the first quarter of 2020 with an electric vehicle. Here are some of the employee transit and commuter enhancements that we have done at the airport. Carpool and vanpool parking is something that we have available in all the areas where employees are located. EV parking is something that's also available and that we have. And in the photo on this slide, you can see this is our most recent install, and it's located on the north side parking lot. And this consists of 10 dual port EV chargers. Some other things that we have at the airport are bicycle racks as well as bicycle lockers. Another thing that our employees participate in and the airport authority contributes to, the airport authority actually pays half of all employees' commuting costs. And the half that they pay is covered with pre-tax dollars that comes directly out of their paycheck. The airport authority also has participated in the past in a carpool pilot project with iCommute, where we had a relatively high level of participation. About 10% of airport authority employees participated in that carpool pilot project, which had incentives that included gas cards and allowed us to collect a lot of data that we actually ended up using for additional analysis for our own projects. That Tri-Transit event is another one that we had at the airport authority, where we actually paid for an employee's 1 day of transit, whether it was the trolley, a bus, a premium express bus, or even a coaster. And the main focus of that event was for the employees to go through their commute trip and respond to and send us data that was in the form of emails, text messages, and phone calls. We collected all of that data and compiled that. And another very important part of this Tri-Transit event was a pre-event survey as well as a post-event survey. And that allowed us to collect a lot of very usable data that we could have access to at a later date. Another feature that we have in terms of enhancements for facilities at the airport was about 3 years ago, 2016, we started a trolley to terminal shuttle service. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that further into the presentation. Here is a great graphic of some of the elements of our trolley to terminal shuttle service. This is over on the left, you can see the bus that we utilized for that. And then in the middle portion of the slide is the actual bus shelter that exists there, right there on Admiral Boland Drive. And you can actually see the next bus sign, which indicates in the graphic that the next bus will be there in about 3 minutes. This is, and then actually the graphic that we installed down in the right corner window of the bus, so people would have something to identify the service to and would be able to identify the bus if it comes by, if they're looking for a trolley to terminal shuttle service ride. And by temporary measures in this slide, this is something that we did at the beginning of in the initiation of the trolley to terminal shuttle service. This was to give those passengers and employees that were exiting at the Middletown trolley station an indicator, a visual indicator, a breadcrumb, if you want to call it that, that would lead them down to that bus shelter that you saw in the previous slide. So this was done at the beginning, at the early stages, just to give people a familiarity with our logo, with the actual trolley to terminal name. And this is something that after a while, we took up after people got familiar with it. This is a transit ticket machine, and these are located in both Terminals 1 as well as Terminal 2. And these were installed in January of 2016 with cooperation and a lot of help and assistance from MTS. These machines are frequently used, and they are physically located not only to close to the bag claim area, but also close to the actual bus stop that's just beyond it on the curb at each terminal. And next to the machine, to the left of the machine in the graphic, you can also see a poster that the airport authority prepared, and also just below the poster, the brochures that we prepared to give passengers and employees information about all the various transit options to and from the airport. Another important, I would say, enhancement that we have done and installed at the airport We have a fairly significant bicycle infrastructure that consists of lockers and actually racks as well. And these were initially installed in 2011 and 2016. The bike rack that you see in this photo is located in Terminal 2. It gets, and of the two terminals, the Terminal 2 bike locker gets the heaviest use. And in terms of overall airport bicycle parking, there are over 100 bike parking spaces that we have identified in inventory on the entire airport campus. And we found that when you offer transit, the combination of transit and bike, it makes the whole idea of using transit a little more enjoyable. So that's something that we promote and we take to the employees in terms of getting them to increase their transit use to and from the airport. And if you have any questions, thank you for letting me speak today. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I'll give it back to Destry.
Thanks, Brett. Thank you. That wraps up the guest presentations. We really appreciate Brett and Fred sharing their experiences about how they have planned and implemented these facility improvements. I will now open it up to the Q&A portion. I am accompanied by Deborah Jones. She is an Associate Account Executive with Sandag's iCommute team. Thanks for joining us. So please let us know if you have any questions for any of our speakers today. You can feel free to write them down and who the question is directed to. This question is for Fred. Which improvement are the employees using the most?
I would say the EV charging stations. It's kind of funny. It's that there's a kind of a joke is that we have this charging in waiting spot, the spot where the cars that don't need to charge are kind of, I call it a corral, and it's almost like they're all Teslas. So those are the ones that don't need charging, but we all have a variety of different vehicles there, but EV charging is really the ones that people are really like, and the demand for EV charging is very prominent at Sempra.
This next question is for Brett. What is the cost for installing a bike locker?
Well, the actual cost of installing the bike locker, we did that in cooperation with the iCommute system at Sandag. The actual financial cost of the bike locker itself was an amount that I don't have the exact amount. I can get that information and send that and have that available. It was no cost to the airport authority. So if that's the reason for the question, there was no cost to the airport authority. We installed 2 bike lockers, and I gave you the year when that was done. But the actual cost to the airport authority, there was no cost other than the staff time and the coordination and all the time that we spent with iCommute and Sandag in terms of getting those installed.
Next question is for Fred. How do you evaluate the number of carpoolers at Sempra?
We have our employee transportation coordinator is the kind of the go-to person, and when we have a need on SempraNet, there is a link to those who are carpooling. So they send us an email inquiry, and then we from there we contact them and see how many people in their carpool, and give them a carpool plaque so they can use that to use the parking spaces. So we like to, a carpool would be about 3 or 4 people per vehicle.
We have another question for Brett. How many bikes fit inside each locker?
Each bicycle locker at the airport has a capacity of 4 bikes. So we have a total of 8 bikes if you combine with both Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 bike lockers.
I have a question for Fred. How much did it cost to put in the bike racks, air and maintenance stations?
Well, I will have to get back to that inquiry, because when the new Sempra building was built in 2015, I was not the facilities manager at the time, but I can get that information and pass that along accordingly.
The next question is for both of you. How do both speakers engage employees to try and then continue using public transit? Is there any data they have of the diverted single car occupants through these methods?
Thank you. Well, at the Airport Authority, we continually try to get employees to use public transit in their commute to and from work. And some of the ways we do that are participating in any and every iCommute event that is held, including Bike to Work Day, the transit events, the Rideshare Week, Rideshare Month. We have had some bike events at the airport. And anytime we have a bike event, we always promote at the same time transit because we think that the two go together. And something else too that was in my presentation that we do for new employees, it's the paying half of the cost of the transit of an employee. And that's one of the first pieces of information that a new employee is given when they start working at the Airport Authority, is all the information related to all of the employee transit benefits that the Airport Authority offers.
At Sempra, what we do is basically when we have events like Rideshare Week, Tri-Transit and such, I am the individual that sends out articles on SempraNet or emails and put items on the digiboard to promote that. And I would like to say, as one who uses alternative transportation and use mass transit, I take this express bus from Rancho Bernardo and the Carmel Mountain Ranch area. I want to lead by example and let people know that it's a great way to commute. And I'm getting a lot of people, no pun intended, on board to ride the bus or the trolley or the train as a means to kind of lessen the stress in their commute. And I try to lead by example by doing it myself.
Okay, we have time for one more question. The last question is for the Sandag team. What are your plans for connecting the San Diego metro area to the Sorrento Valley hub?
I can answer that one. This is Deborah Jones, new voice on the webinar here. So as you may have seen on the freeway, driving on the 5 freeway, we have a mid-coast trolley line that's going in, and that's going to be scheduled for operation at the late 2021. And from that the mid-coast trolley stations up at UTC, there will be shuttle buses going over to the Sorrento Valley area, and then of course the 921 bus will continue to operate from UTC Mall into the Mira Mesa Sorrento Valley area. And there'll be more information on our website and also with MTS. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for your questions. If you have other questions that may arise, please feel free to reach out to us. Before we wrap up, I'd like to just give you a look ahead for the 2020 vision for the new year and new commute. As you can see, there are several resources and events that you can definitely be a part of. We'll be kicking off a new vanpool campaign that will launch an ambassador program at the beginning of the year. We'll also have the Carpool incentive program running through the first half of the year. And we always gear up early on in the year for Bike to Work Day. That's one of our huge regional events that will be happening on May 14th. We have several opportunities to host a pit stop. Those applications usually are open in March. And then employer bike services, where you can host a bike tune-up or education event. This is a year-long service, but we really do have a lot of events that happen through April and May in preparation for Bike to Work Day. So keep these dates up as a point of reference. And then thank you all for joining us. Here is a slide of our contact information. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to email us, and we will get back to you for any other Q&As through an email for you. So thanks again for joining us. We hope you have a happy holiday.